She was silent when I met her HFY sci-fi tale. Third person. Simple English. Riven didn't plan to buy anyone. He was on a trade moon near the outer systems. He only came to sell old ship parts and maybe buy a new water filter. But then he saw the crate. It sat in the corner of a shadowed tent. Cold metal, rusted locks, a strange glowing symbol on the front. Not human, not any language he knew. The old trader saw him staring. "You want discount?" The man grinned. "Only one left." "Rare, alive, alive?" Riven asked. The trader tapped the crate. "Alien girl, quiet, doesn't eat much, can't walk. Some kind of noble type, I think. No use to me." Riven didn't say anything, but he couldn't stop staring. There was something in that crate. Something breathing. The trader leaned closer. "She's broken. But sometimes broken things become valuable again. You understand?" Riven hesitated, then paid. The first time he saw her back on his ship, Riven unlocked the crate. It hissed open slowly, releasing a cold mist. Inside, curled up and shaking, was a girl. She looked about his age or maybe younger. Thin, pale skin with a soft silver glow. Hair long, tangled, almost white. Her legs were wrapped in metal braces. Her arms had faded bruises. And her back, curved like someone who'd been caged too long. But her face was calm. Too calm. Like someone who had stopped caring. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just looked at him, with eyes the color of a dying star. Riven knelt down. "It's okay," he said. "I won't hurt you." She blinked slowly, but said nothing. Days of silence. Riven gave her food. Soft things. Warm drinks. She never touched the meals while he was in the room. But when he left, the plates would be empty when he returned. She slept on the floor, even though he offered a bed. She stayed near the walls, always watching the exits. Her metal braces clicked softly when she moved. He tried to ask her name. She looked away. He tried using a translator. She stayed silent. But one night, as he walked past her door, he heard a quiet sound. Crying. Soft, like rain tapping glass. He stopped but didn't go in. He just listened. And somehow it broke his heart. A word that broke. The translator. The next morning, Riven placed a flower beside her food tray. It was small, blue, a desert bloom from his home planet. Useless, but beautiful. She stared at it for a long time. Then she looked at him. And finally, she spoke. One word. Just one. The translator froze. The screen glitched. It showed no match. No meaning, just strange symbols and static. She frowned and looked away. "I don't know what that means," Riven said gently. "But I want to." He sat down across from her, giving her space. "I'm not here to keep you locked up. I want to know who you are." Still, she said nothing. But her fingers gently touched the flower, and she didn't move away when he looked at her. The pendant. That night, Riven watched from the ship's deck as stars passed by. He heard soft footsteps behind him. It was her. She held something in her hand. A small crystal pendant on a broken chain. She showed it to him without speaking. He took it carefully. The back of the crystal had old writing, ancient, almost lost. He scanned it with his ship's tools. The screen showed a partial translation. "House of Thalara. Royal line. Do not erase." He looked up at her. "You're a princess?" Her eyes shimmered, just for a second. Then she turned and walked away. End scene. Hook. Riven couldn't sleep that night. She was royalty. From a species he'd never heard of. She had been sold like cargo, treated like trash. And yet, she still held on to that pendant, still remembered who she was. And for the first time in years, Riven didn't feel alone in the stars. He didn't know why, but he wanted to help her. Not because she was a princess, Not because she was rare, but because, when she finally looked at him, she looked like someone begging to be human again. A name she was afraid to speak. HFY sci-fi tale. Third person, simple English. The next morning, the girl was already awake before Riven. She sat near the engine room window, watching the stars pass by. Her hands were folded, holding tightly to a crystal pendant. She still hadn't spoken again, but something had changed. She no longer looked away when he entered the room. The translator. Specialist Riven knew he needed help. The word she had spoken, the one that broke the translator, was still stuck in his mind. He sent a message to an old friend, Juno, a xenolinguist who worked at a science outpost near Nebula 6. She loved forgotten languages. 2 days later, Juno joined their ship. She wore thick glasses and a scarf covered in alien letters. When she saw the girl, her smile faded. "She's Thalari," Juno whispered. Riven frowned. "What's that?" Juno turned pale. "A royal race. Extinct, at least." "We thought so." She scanned the pendant, then showed Riven the results. House of Thalara, daughter of the Sapphire line. Status, lost, protected blood. Juno looked at the girl. "That word," she said, "it's not a name, it's a plea. It means, don't forget me." The moment of truth later that night, Riven sat near the girl again. "I know what you said," he told her gently. "I didn't forget." She looked surprised. "You're Thalari," he added, "and I think you are someone important." She flinched, just slightly, then looked down. Riven didn't push. He just sat quietly beside her. After several minutes, she spoke again. Just a whisper. "Avera." Riven leaned in. "Your name?" She nodded, eyes wet. "Avera, then." Then she did something she hadn't done before. She reached out and touched his hand. Fragments of the past. The next day, Avera opened up more. She spoke in short, broken sentences. Her voice was soft, like it hadn't been used in years. She told Riven about her home, a floating palace on crystal towers. Her people had wings made of light. But when war came, the wings were taken. "We were proud," she said. "We were hunted for it." Riven asked gently, "Why did they sell you?" Avera didn't answer. She only looked away, and a tear ran down her cheek. But later that night, she left a note on the table. Only one line. "I was not supposed to live." A secret map. The pendant wasn't just jewelry. Riven found out it had a hidden layer of micromap, encoded in light. With Juno's help, they unlocked it. The map showed a single red dot deep in a restricted zone. An old ruin. Coordinates not listed on any trade chart. Avera stared at it for a long time. "Someone waits there," she whispered. "Maybe my brother. Maybe no one." Riven said, "Do you want to go?" Avera nodded slowly. "If I don't, I'm the last." End scene. Hook. That night, Riven looked out into space. Avera stood beside him now, silent but no longer afraid. She wasn't healed. Not yet, but she was no longer invisible. And Riven knew one thing deep in his heart. He didn't just find her. He was meant to. Somewhere far away, on a forgotten star, the past waited for her return. And Riven would go with her, no matter what waited in the dark. She cried over. Something small. HFY sci-fi tale. Third person, simple English's ship was quiet. Too quiet. They were 1 day away from the hidden coordinates on Avera's map. Riven was nervous, but Avera, she was distant again. Quiet, like when they first met. She didn't speak much. She stayed in the corner of the ship's lounge, holding the pendant close to her chest. Her silver eyes never blinked when staring at the stars. A simple gift. Riven wanted to help her. But he didn't know how. Juno gave him an idea. "You don't need to speak her language," Juno said. "Sometimes kindness doesn't need words." Riven nodded that night. While Avera rested, he worked. He spent hours inside the cargo hold, cutting, cleaning, and assembling small pieces of tech and metal. By morning, it was ready. He placed it in the main room, right where Avera would see it. The garden of her world, it was a tiny thing. A glass box. Inside were small blue flowers glowing with soft light. Hovering lights danced above them, mimicking a warm sunrise. Riven had copied the shape and colors from an image he found in her old pendant memory logs flowers from her home planet. Now long gone. It wasn't perfect, but it looked beautiful. Avera saw it and froze. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Then slowly, she walked over. Her fingers touched the glass gently. She sank to her knees, and then, for the first time in front of Riven, she cried. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks. One by one, she tried to hide her face, but Riven didn't look away. He didn't speak. He didn't ask why. He just sat near her, quiet and calm. After a while, she whispered, "They used to grow near my window, in the palace." Riven said softly, "I know. That's why I made them." Avera looked at him with wet eyes, full of pain, but also something else. Hope, not the wings she lost. That night, Avera showed Riven the scars on her back. 2 deep marks, almost healed, where something had once been attached, something beautiful and bright. "My wings," she said quietly. "They were cut, not for escape, for shame." Riven clenched his fists. "Who did this?" "Humans," she whispered. "Not you. But soldiers, traitors. They said my people were too proud." She looked away, shaking. "I was proud. Now I'm just broken." Riven moved beside her and said gently, "No, you're still here. That's not broken. That's strong." Avera didn't reply, but she didn't pull away either. The last message later, Juno joined them with a small datapad. "I scanned the pendant again," she said. "There's more inside. A message." She tapped a button. A flickering hologram appeared. A tall alien male, regal and tired, looked directly ahead. His wings were damaged, his voice weak. "To my sister, Avera Len, if you find this, I failed. But you must not give up. One piece of our future still burns. Go to the forgotten world. You'll know the place. And if you still carry the pendant, then I believe in you." The hologram faded. Avera covered her mouth and looked at Riven. "I'm not the last," she said. And scene hooked. The stars shifted outside. The ship approached the ruins and old world, lost to time. Avera stood beside Riven now, shoulders straighter, voice steadier. She wasn't healed, but something inside her had started to mend. And Riven knew one thing clearly. She didn't cry over flowers. She cried because someone finally remembered where she came from. And now they would face what waited together. The Broken Princess and the Forgotten Star. HFY sci-fi tale. Third person, simple English. Ship entered orbit around the dead planet. Its name was erased from the charts. The sky was dark. The surface cracked like old bones. Nothing grew. Nothing moved. But the pendant signal was clear. "This is the place," Avera said softly. Riven stood beside her, hand on the ship's controls. "Are you ready?" Avera looked down at her scarred hands, then out toward the planet. "No," she said, "but I'm going anyway." The surface of ash, they landed near what looked like a broken temple. Black stone pillars stood like teeth in the dust. Wind howled between them. Juno stayed behind on the ship. Avera and Riven stepped into the ruins. Every step stirred ashes. Avera walked slowly, her legs still weak, but she didn't stop. Symbols covered the walls. Her fingers traced. "Them. This is the Larry writing," she said. "It says, 'Sanctuary of the Last Light.'" They walked deeper. And then they found it. The hall of echoes inside the heart of the temple. A room pulsed with dim blue light. There, in a silver chair, sat the body of a Thalari male still, in royal robes, dried and peaceful, his hands holding a broken staff. Avira stopped. Her voice broke. "Brother." Riven stood quietly beside her. A small device blinked near the throne. He picked it up and activated it. The final message, a blue hologram, flickered to life. Her brother's voice echoed through the room. "Avera, if you found this, I am gone. I tried to save us, but I was too late. They came faster than we expected. We couldn't fight forever. You must live. If the pendant guided you here, then you carry the last of our legacy. In the vault below, there is something made for you. Not a weapon, not a throne. Something older. It will respond only to our blood." The message ended. Avera fell to her knees, silent. But this time, she didn't cry. She looked determined. The vault of firelight Riven helped her open the vault. It was sealed by a blood reader. Avera touched it, and the metal melted away. Inside was a chamber filled with golden energy. A single object stood in the center. A suit of armor, but it wasn't heavy or sharp. It was elegant, smooth, almost alive. It shimmered like water and pulsed with faint light. At its center was the Thalari crest. Avera stepped forward. She placed her hand on it. The suit opened like it had been waiting for her. She looked at Riven. "This was made for the next queen of the Thalari," she said. "But I have no people." Riven answered softly. "Then let the galaxy see you and remember them." Unseen hook. The armor formed around her like light, wrapping a flame. Avera stood tall, now her back straight. Her voice calm. The broken girl was gone. In her place stood someone older, stronger, still scarred, but no longer ashamed. Riven stared at her. "Quiet. You're glowing," he whispered. Avera smiled. "Then it's time they saw me shine." Outside, something began to wake beneath the planet. Deep hum. Ancient. Waiting. The galaxy hadn't seen the last Thalari. And soon it would know their name again. She wore her scar like a crown. HFY sci-fi tale. Third person. Simple English. The armor moved like air. Light wrapped around Avera's limbs. Her back straightened. Her steps grew strong. The suit didn't just protect her. It supported her broken bones, her tired muscles, her heavy heart. For the first time in years, she didn't feel weak. She felt whole. The awakening as she walked through the old temple. Walls lit up around her. The floor hummed. Ancient systems blinked back to life. The suit had activated something deep. Avera reached the central pillar. Her fingers touched the stone. A bright pulse shot into the sky. On the ship, Juno shouted, "That signal, it's broadcasting to every Thalari beacon in the galaxy." Riven stared at the light bursting above them. "She's not hiding anymore," he said. "Earth reacts back on Earth." Military leaders saw the signal too. They weren't pleased. Messages flew across the stars. Thalari Queen confirmed. Unauthorized contact. Unknown human involvement. One name appeared again and again. Colon Avera-Len. And beside it, Riven Gray. An arrest order was sent. Riven didn't care, and neither did Avera. Truth in Nakora. Darkness later, in the ship's quiet medical bay, Riven helped Avera remove part of the suit. She looked at her back in a mirror, at the scars where her wings used to be. She didn't look away this time. "These are ugly," she said. "No." Riven replied, "They're true." She turned to him, eyes shining. "I once thought I needed wings to be royal. And now?" She smiled, small, soft, real. "Now I know. I only needed to survive." Earth's lies. Juno decrypted a hidden file from the suit system's old war records, stored in Thalari. Code What she found made Avera's hands shake. Earth didn't just let the Thaleri fall. A human admiral made a secret deal. He sold out the location of their palace to alien raiders for weapons. The betrayal was worse than Avera feared. They let my people burn. She whispered. Riven stepped beside her, and now they're afraid the last one survived. A decision that night. Avera stood under the stars. She could call out to the old Thaleri allies, wake ancient fleets, start a war. She had every reason to, but instead she whispered a message into the signal stream. I am Avera Lyn. I am not here to take revenge. I am here to show you what royalty looks like when it chooses peace. End scene. Hook. The next day, a ship appeared. It wasn't a warship. It was Earth's ambassador craft. Unarmed. As the ramp opened, humans stepped out, and before they spoke, before they asked questions, they bowed, not because they were forced, because of the girl who once couldn't walk, who once cried over a flower, who now stood tall, in glowing armor, with no crown except for the scar she no longer hid. Her tears changed the future HFY sci-fi tale. Third person, simple English. Avera stood before the Earth delegation. No throne, no army behind her. Only a quiet wind, a glowing suit, and the scar on her back. The ambassador looked at her, nervous, respectful. We were told you survived. Avera answered softly. I lived. That is not the same as surviving. Behind her, Riven stood quietly, arms crossed, watching. The choice they offered her a deal. Come to Earth. We will recognize your title. We will give you land, resources, a home. She shook her head. I do not want a cage shaped like a palace. Instead, she gave them her own terms. I want truth. I want the name of the man who betrayed my people. And I want the scar remembered. The broadcast 1 week later. Avera stood before a galaxy-wide feed. Billions watched humans, aliens, forgotten species. She showed them the proof. The betrayal. The documents Juno decoded. Then she said, this is not a speech of anger. This is a reminder that kindness matters, that survival means more than strength, and that even a broken girl, sold in silence, can stand tall one day. And then she did something no one expected. She stepped aside and let Riven speak. Riven's words. I didn't know her name when I found her, Riven said. She didn't speak. She didn't smile. But she taught me more than any star, chart or war log ever could. He looked into the camera. We don't need perfect leaders. We need honest ones. People who cry over flowers and still get back up. She isn't just a princess. She's proof that the galaxy can still change. The future begins not long. After the broadcast, a coalition formed. Small nations, hidden colonies, even old enemies. They gathered under one name, the Thalari Accord, not ruled by Avera, but inspired by her. She didn't wear a crown. She wore her armor only during ceremony. But whenever she entered a room, people rose not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The quiet ending. Riven built a garden on a quiet moon. Not a big one, just a circle of glowing blue flowers. Thera visited often. Sometimes she still cried, not from pain, but from memory. One day, she said to Riven, do you know when I started healing? He shook his head. She smiled. It wasn't the suit. It wasn't the signal. It was when someone gave me a flower and asked for nothing in return. Final line, voiceover style for ending video. She didn't rewrite history with fire. She changed it with tears. And the man who once thought he bought her ended up walking beside a queen. The end. Thank you for watching this 6-part HFY sci-fi tale. I didn't expect to fall for a broken alien princess, but Her tears told me everything.